Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Thursday night. Time for another episode of Thrifty Business. I'm your one host, Jay, and look who's back in the co-host chair.
It's me, Nay.
Hi, Nay. Hey, nice T-shirt.
Yes, it's a throwback Thursday T-shirt, isn't it?
I like that.
Yes, I dug this out from my vault and
from your vault.
Yeah, I figured I would rock it for tonight's show because it is Thrifty Business with Jay and Nay tonight. So
very nice. Well done. Well done. All right, let's get our first segment going so we can introduce our guest. Now it's time for Jay's Tiki Talk. Each week I drink a different rum out of a different tiki mug and try and match it up to my guest. And our guest this week is Kathy. Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
I am dandy. All right. Kathy's here to talk about fabric. In just a little bit, I've chatted with her ahead of time because I always run a test with the guests. She has the feeling about fabric that I have about CDs or tiki mugs. So I can't wait to hear what she has to tell us. So the mug was very easy for you tonight. The rum was a little trickier, so I'm going to stretch it a little bit. And this Ronza Kappa has this kind of grass matting around it. So
okay.
We'll call that fabric because
it's burlap.
Yep, the mug I'm drinking out actually does have fabric around it.
Awesome. I was wondering what you were going to do. That is awesome.
Filled a little bit under his nose. Yeah, so a mug with actual fabric.
And it's like mid-century modern right on there.
Yep.
Really cool.
And it's going to go with this roll of fabric I have back here to talk about later. So cool. Cheers and thanks for coming on.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right. That did not look like a tiki mug, but that looks like a tiki mug.
No, this is H2O for me.
I am drinking my iced coffee, not rum, but iced coffee out of this Moai mug. It is Hawaii Kai.
From New York City.
It is Otagari.
New York City.
It has the Otagari sticker on the bottom still. I had two. I broke one. So I was going to sell them as a lot, but when I broke the one, just one is worth less. So I decided to keep it. So now it's mine since I broke its brother.
Yep, I've done that.
I'm gonna have to remove Elisa from the chat.
I would have to agree with Elisa.
Both of you got to go now, so it's just gonna be me and Kathy. All right, Kathy, sit back, relax. We'll see you in a little bit. Blasphemy! Ice rum is better than coffee. Blasphemy. And now it's time for our scores of the week. These are the items that you should be on the lookout for when you're out thrifting. I bumped the wrong button, obviously. Whoops. All right, there we go. Ba-bow.
Okay, so I took a best offer. Actually, just today, I said to Jason, can you add this in? Because I took a best offer for $69.99 today. And it's kind of got... it's not Hawaiian, but it's kind of got that sort of kind of vibe. But it was handmade too. It had no tag. Right. Yeah. So, and I've had it for a little while. Somebody else bought it a while ago for $50 and they never paid. And boy, am I glad that they didn't.
No kidding. That's always the best.
Yeah. So, and
what?
then
You sold fabric? What?
I sold fabric. So speaking of fabric, I sold this Schumacher Waverly fabric. It's upholstery fabric, so it was thicker. It was upholstery cotton fabric. I had 8 yards of it, and I sold it for $149.99. And I shipped it. It fit in a medium flat rate box. So there's a good use. That was a good use for the medium flat rate because it would have been a boatload more otherwise.
What? You sold fabric?
I sold fabric again. So trying to find some fabric scores since it's a topic. So this was just, if you look at this, it was $22. Doesn't look like a huge score. However, look at the amount there, a half a yard. That was it. That's a small amount of fabric, okay? Because a yard is 36 inches. So half of that. That's what it was. But it was, again, Waverly. It was upholstery fabric. And it was this painter's sketchbook floral somebody had to have. So people do seek out some of those. And then
what? A barista apron.
Yes. So I paid a whopping $1 for the apron from Thrift to You. I've been sourcing online, and I saw 2 of them go up. I snagged both of them. I sold the other one as well for $99. And I threw in 2 Starbucks pins, which I had that I thrifted like a long time ago. So maybe I have $2 invested into this and $115. So
well done.
Yes, that particular apron is a bolo. So, and then this I also paid $1 for, and I sold it this past week on Poshmark for $28. I accepted an offer for, so not bad when you have $1 invested. No,
nice scores and nice prices. Hey, look what I sold. Same. So this is truly a moo-moo. Not the most exciting. Sears sold a lot of Hawaiian clothes. But I just wanted to share with you that it doesn't have to be the most exciting. I spent $3 and I sold it for $28, and there's the Sears tag. You would get all your finest, all your finest Hawaiian wear at Sears back in the day. All right, Nay, this isn't the biggest sale, but a person in Texas bought it, so I had to share it because I like when things go home where they belong.
Oh yeah,
shirts go to Hawaii, and cowboy boot and hat blankets go to Texas. So Aaron, Matthew, did you guys buy it?
That is a cool blanket, and it is ironic that it went to Texas. It's funny. I sourced some Hawaiian dresses on Shop Goodwill, so they went from Hawaii to me in New Jersey, and then a buyer in Hawaii bought them, and they went back to Hawaii. So it's pretty funny.
Hey, this is the one item that I had the most activity on ever until it sold. So I had it on eBay, and I got a lot of looks, I got a lot of questions, and I got a lot of low offers. Had it on Marketplace, and again, got a ton of low offers. I think I had like 20 offers on this pair of roller skates, and they finally sold for $90. So they're on their way to Chicago for the new person to roller skate with.
Nice.
And I've been sharing my tiki mugs I've been selling lately with the pick collage. So you see the front, the back, and the bottom all in the opening photo, because we all know our customers never get past picture 1. So if you can razzle dazzle them in picture number 1, you can hook them. And this was purchased online direct from the manufacturer for a lot less money. And then they ran out, and then I sold it on eBay for a lot more money.
Janet had a question about my Starbucks apron. It is discontinued, not vintage. And actually the person that bought it messaged me that he was a barista. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So I guess they seek out the discontinued.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
And now it's time for our CD and cassette scores of the week. And as always, we start with flipping cassettes. All right. If you didn't see in the thrifting board today, there was a post because a gentleman, I think it was a gentleman, found a whole bunch of CDs from a closed out CD store in the back of his truck. And most of us were drooling. And then there was like 8 different people said CDs don't sell. And those people have been in my group for 4 years. So I don't know what the hell they've been paying attention to. So if I show them this cassette sale, Nate, their head would explode. So sometimes when your cassettes aren't good enough by themselves, but you can put them in good groups. This is all hair metal and heavy metal from the 80s and a smidge of early 90s. Boom. Quick $80 for 39 cassettes.
Nice.
And I think I had $10 into it. And so I have stacks of stacks over there that as I go through them, not good by itself, but hey, that's an R&B lot. Hey, that's a rap lot. And then once you get like a nice 20 to 40 in there, throw them up. It lasted 2 days, maybe. I mean, it was quick.
Yeah.
It was quick.
Nice.
Cassettes, people's heads will explode if they don't think CDs sell. Oh my gosh.
More cassettes. I haven't listed a lot of them.
Hey, wait, I didn't sell this record.
I sold a record. Yes. So this, and I think you said that I did well on this, right, Jason? So I sold it for $19.99. And what is it? Harry Humiel?
I don't even know Harry.
Humele? Is that how you pronounce it?
Sure.
Okay.
Melee probably.
Well, I did. So I sourced a lot. I got a lot of Hawaiian records from Shop Goodwill, and this is one of them. And this paid for the whole lot. So, I have been back since tonight.
Well, you've been on the show before, and you got your own show we'll talk about in a minute.
And Chris, you have to watch my show too on Fridays.
So Joni Mitchell would not be one you would normally think of as good for flipping records. You know, these middle of the road, just nice pop singers, both male and female. They sold a lot of records. And so when I was having my team do research and they said, hey, this one's worth a lot of money, I went, shut up. I almost didn't put it in the pile. That's how much I didn't think it was worth a lot of money. And I had decent offers on it, but I finally sold it for $64. And it was only up for maybe 4 or 5 days. So don't always think popular means not going to be worth a lot because there's too many of them. This is the one that kind of bucked that trend. And now we go from flipping cassettes to flipping CDs. Okay, I hope those people from earlier today, the thrifting board, are watching because now their heads will melt off their face like the guy at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. All right, Nay, most of my co-hosts wouldn't know this, but maybe you will. Who is Peter Murphy, the lead singer of?
Peter Murphy was oh gosh.
Come on. I thought of all my co-hosts you would know because I know Debbie would.
Know that.
I know Debbie wouldn't, and I'm pretty sure Steph wouldn't.
No, I do though. It's in my head. It's just
I don't think Craig would. I don't think the boys are too young, Matthew and Aaron.
Peter Murphy. Was he the one that did Oh My Inside? Da, 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 da. I know the song. I have it in my head, but
I am shocked. All right. Peter Murphy was the lead singer of the Bauhaus. And then they all broke up. And then the rest of the guys formed Tones on Tail. And then they stopped that. And then they formed Love and Rockets. But I want to point out, this was sitting on Amazon for 3 years without a nibble. It was on Discogs for 1 day. And it sold for $40. And I've never really said this. Discogs only takes 5%. A flat 5%. What a great... Oh, Christine knew. See?
I do know Bauhaus too. So
yeah. So what a great website to sell on if you got the right stuff. All right. This was also on Amazon for 3 years. Moved it to eBay, sold in 48 hours. I did pay $30 for it, but as you can see, $100 for Spaceballs.
Wow. Why?
Because it's out of print. Same with the soundtrack to Outland. By Jerry Goldsmith. As you can see, I paid $18 and I sold it for $60.
Wow.
Now, this is where their faces will not only melt, they will explode and then wither down the drain. You've seen me sell this box set on the show, and this time I got another one, and I thought I'm going to press my luck and list it so high no one should purchase it, right? Wrong. How about $300 worth?
Wow.
Yeah. So this is to show those people who say CDs don't sell, see how much they don't sell?
No, they don't sell at all.
That is $500 in just the 4 CDs I showed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
$500. That is a car payment of a nice car, a monthly car payment.
Well, you've taught me well, so I do know that CDs sell. I should be listing more of them.
What is it? You don't see it says Prince 1999? Is my picture that bad?
Well, it's a little,
I had to show the side too. It was fun. They say 2000 party. Oops, out of time. Used, no. Nope, it is brand new. And you're going to see it again in my sourcing tip of the week. Did I have? Yep. Am I forgetting something?
Hey, wait! Hold up! Don't forget about me!
Whoops! Now it's time for Stacy's budget bin scores.
Stacy wrote her name on this one, so we knew it was hers for sure. So, I just sold a mug. $2. Sat on Amazon for 3 years. Moved it to Discogs. It was on Discogs for 3 days. Sold for $15.
Wow, nice, Stacy.
So Stacy does have some higher ones, but that's kind of her average. She'll pick up the $1 and $2 CDs that sell between $15 and $18. Now, if you can source the bigger stuff and you have a partner or a thrifting buddy or a spouse that can source the budget bin, it's a winning combination. Yes, it is Ben Meckler. Good memory, Elisa. Oh, that's too funny.
And now it's time for our duds of the week. Do not let our mistakes be yours.
I don't know why I can't tell this Isabella Fiore bag.
When I saw that, I'm like, wow, how boring is that for Isabella Fiore?
I have literally had it up since I moved 2 years ago, and I know it's been before that. So I've tried lowering the price. I've tried taking different pictures. And nobody wants it. I don't even get offers on it. So if anybody's looking for an Isabella Fiore clutch,
It's so boring compared to most of her stuff.
it is. Yeah, maybe that's why. And then this, I have it marked down to $8, and on Poshmark, you make $5 at that. So nobody wants it. I did pay like $1 for it, but still, I think this is like one that needs to be donated unless, again, anybody is a size small and they want a dream catcher print top.
I like that, Kathy. CDs don't sell. The right ones fly. You're right. The right ones fly right away. Okay, this is a great movie, but apparently everyone already owned it on DVD because I took a best offer of $6 this week.
Oh, okay.
But this was cleaning out some old DVDs I had personally, so it wasn't like I sourced it. But unless you're picking it up for yourself, it is not a good DVD to flip. And people usually like tech nerdy stuff, but apparently this bandana wasn't one of those things. I've had it for maybe 4 years, and it finally sold for $4.50.
It's kind of boring.
Well, yeah, but it's Yahoo. It's purple. It's cool. I gave it a try. It didn't work. I won't try it again.
And now it's time for Where in the World Did Our Stuff Go? If you are not shipping internationally, you are leaving out 7.3 billion with a B potential customers.
Okay. So I sold this to a buyer in Tata Creek, British Columbia, Canada.
Ah, Tatas. I like to be from Tata.
Tata Creek, yes. I only paid $1 for it. I probably maybe even less than $1 because it was from the bins, which is 99 cents a pound. And I took a best offer for $14 because I just wanted to get it sold. But the good thing about that was they paid full shipping for that to Canada. So
is Lisa in the chat? Lisa, are you near the Tata Creek? Let me know. All right. So this really demonstrates you never know who wants your item. Now, I did listen to how it was pronounced. I forgot to listen to it again. Caldas da Rana. It's in Portugal. They needed the War Between the States Viewmaster reels. Okay. Someone in Portugal last week said, you know what I need? I need that 1960s technology, and I need to learn about America's Civil War from the 1800s. And then they threw in Mickey Mouse talking Viewmaster. So that shows you that people want all of our stuff everywhere.
wow.
Did I butcher the name? Yeah, I listened to it, and I listened to it 3 days ago and forgot to re-listen to it. Whoops, my
You
bad.
forgot to change the header too.
Oh, I did. You're right.
Yep.
Whoops. I forgot to change it for a couple now.
You did.
It's like I'm out of practice, but I'm not. I don't know why. Oops, there we go. So
Okay.
we'll go that, and then now I'm caught up with myself.
And now it's time for You Have Got to Be Shipping Me. What to do and what not to do when it comes to shipping.
Okay. So I ordered that's actually a rainbow, like kind of pride-ish, it's a vintage handmade shirt. They had it up for auction for 99 cents. So it's probably an amateur seller and I won it for 99 cents plus shipping plus $5.50 shipping. But the way they shipped it is a do not do. It came in a
do not do
wrapped in brown craft paper, first class. And then when I pulled it out, it was folded in a millipack priority mail Tyvek. And priority millipacks are still priority mail. And you cannot ship them, use them to ship first class. So do not do that.
Now, mine's going to be about shipping, but a little different than our norm. If you're not using Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, you should, because you sell a lot of stuff on there. But I've seen people say they're not doing shipping, they're just doing local. But shipping's awesome because so many people use it. And yesterday, if you were listing items with shipping, every time you listed an item, you got put in a drawing for $300. So just offering shipping, someone won $300 just because they offered shipping.
Wow.
So there's another example of why you should offer shipping, because sometimes there are fun little things like, hey, Jason, have shipping, and you might get $300.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Now, of course, I wish this was happening today so y'all could go and do it. It just happened yesterday, but it's not the only time they've done it, and I'm sure they will do it again.
Yeah. That's a good incentive.
And now it's time for the Thrifty Tips of the Week. Little tips and tricks to help you out when you're outsourcing.
So when you're outsourcing, the Real is a luxury consignment. You can send your luxury items, high-end items in, and they will sell them for you. They do take a cut, but it can be good for high-end items. However, if you're going to sell them on any other platform, doesn't matter. When you're outsourcing, they have a great resource for a luxury Bolo brands list. So it's all right there on their website. So look for these brands, because any brand that the Real takes is a good brand to look for. You are going to get good money, whether you send it into the Real, you sell it on eBay, Poshmark, whatever. So they have a whole directory of high-end luxury brands that they accept. Pay attention to those brands. And they do change. They update their list. So use that as a Bolo list.
And by the way, sorry about that, Canadian peeps. Usually most of our tips are for everybody, but sometimes, and since we've had people tuning in from all over the world today on my videos, yes, I'm sorry. That would have been in America only. Sorry. Yeah, that's a great tip. I had no clue.
Yep.
The Real had that handy dandy little directory right there for you to use.
Very handy.
Okay. Hey, look what's back. My Prince 1999 box set. Here's my tip. I am in a ton of Facebook groups that are just for selling, and they're very specialized. There's Disney ones, there's Tiki Mug ones, there's Prince ones, and so on and so forth. So if you're not in groups like those of things that you like, things that you sell, you should be, because guess where I found this? I found it in that group at 1 a.m. because there's night owls who stay up and post and list. And so right before I go to bed, kiss Stacy goodnight, she falls asleep, I run through all my groups and see what the night owls just listed. And I saw this box set, and I said, take it. It was $100. So I paid $100, and I sold it for $300.
Nice.
So the last thing you should do at night, roll through your groups. I'm sure there are fabric groups, and see what the night owls have listed, because you will catch all the good stuff before the early birds get up in the morning.
Great tip.
Yeah.
And now it's time for our online selling tips of the week. It doesn't matter if you're selling on Etsy, Depop, Mercari, Poshmark, or eBay. These are little tips and tricks to help you when you're selling.
I am a fast shipper. However, I am usually not lightning speed fast. However, I went to ship an item on Poshmark within 3 hours after it sold, and I got a notification, a warning that popped up that says, as part of our policy, your buyer has up to 3 hours to cancel an offer that as an accidental purchase. After that time, you'll be able to mark the order as shipped. Now, can you ship it within 3 hours? By all means. However, you can't mark it shipped, and you could run into a snag, because during that time, the buyer is allowed to cancel. So you could drop it off. It could not scan. And then you have to open up a case with Poshmark, and they take 48 hours to respond. And it's going to be a whole messy situation. So my suggestion is to wait 3 hours before shipping anything on Poshmark.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
All right. So kind of a sourcing, kind of online selling tip. The one side of a ship is called the port, and the other side is called the starboard. The one light is green, and the one light is red. And in the tiki world, back in the day, they made port and starboard glasses. Nowadays, they make them out of ceramics, and they kind of resemble the old ones, but they don't ever sell them together. I do. So I buy them directly from Trader Vic's when they're running a sale, and then I sell them as a pair. Why Trader Vic's doesn't figure that out, I don't know. But think outside the box, okay? Yes, you can buy those separately, but when I put them together, it is the set. I actually should have the word set in there. But yeah, so I paid $28 for them and sold them for $80.
Nice. Yeah.
But you got to think of those things. Sometimes you're like, okay, these two things are sold separately, but boy, would they look nice together.
And that's convenience too. You're providing a service of convenience, and they're paying a premium for that.
Hell yes. And I love it.
And now it's time for Unseasonably Sold. What did you sell out of season?
So someone in Texas needed a vintage 70s wool, 100% wool poncho in June. So I sold this on Depop, and what did I sell it for? $35. And she was happy. She left glowing feedback. Texas.
Wait, you say it went to Texas?
It went to Texas in June.
It's hot in Texas. The boys are in the chat.
Yeah. She needed a wool.
You know what I need right now? A full wool poncho.
Apparently, she needed it.
Now, funny. Did it go to Dallas or just Texas?
I don't remember because
mine is the Dallas Brass of all things.
It could have gone to Dallas. I'll have to look that up later.
Now I have shared Christmas CDs that I've sold all year, all the time, but this one was kind of special because who the hell is the Dallas Brass? You know, it was one of those that I picked up in a lot of Christmas CDs, but since they were like a nickel a piece, I thought I'd list them. I listed this one 2 Christmases ago. And someone in June said, you know what I need right now? First, I'm going to buy this poncho on Poshmark. And then I'm going to buy the Dallas Brass Christmas Brass CD because I want to be warm and listen to Christmas music in Dallas in June.
Apparently.
Yeah, see?
Both had a Texas connection.
Yeah, see, Aaron said it was hot. Who just says something about, yeah. Dallas Brass is niche, but super popular. Okay. Yeah. So I would expect to sell a Mariah Carey one, not so much the Dallas Brass. Okay. Yeah. We are about to debut a brand new segment.
Yay.
Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're angry, and sometimes they're just plain weird. Now it's time for the feedback of the week.
Okay.
So you like that?
This was awesome. So I did talk about this on my show, Nayla's Thrift Talk, but I sold this vintage Carlos Falchi bag, and the lining was beat. And I did mention that in the listing. She said, and before I shipped it, I said, did you read that the lining is beat up? You will have to replace it. She said, no problem. She was so happy. She left me glowing feedback that said, we just picked up the fabric for the new lining. So nice to see. This is quite roomy. Definitely destined for much use. Thank you. And a few days after that, I opened my mailbox. There's a handwritten note. And I'm saying,
wow,
send me this. She sent me a handwritten thank you note that said, thank you, dear Nadine. Thank you for the vintage Falchi sport tote. This will be a fulfilling project to give new life to this unique item. I picked up a bright orangey red fabric. Hopefully I can make this tote come back to life. Thank you, Lena. How nice is that?
Lena's got nice penmanship too.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever gotten glowing feedback accompanied by an actual personalized thank you note in the mail. And then we saw this. I got good feedback for this too. He said the record arrived quickly and was very well packaged, and the sound is great. Thanks so much. So
that is awesome.
Yes.
All right. I got 2. Oops. I don't want to do that one first. I want to do this one first. Okay. I mean, you sell tiki mugs. You don't know where they're going to end up. And to get this feedback, and look, some people complained about the 500 character feedback. I loved it for this reason. Absolutely perfect. Great packaging and shipping was so fast. I knew I had to get this tiki mug for my father to add to his collection. This is a great store with lots of fabulous items. I'll be coming back for future purchases. A+ quality and service. Thank you from a thrifting board newbie and now a new and satisfied customer.
Nice.
Yay. How cool is that?
That's very
cool is that? Now, that's the fun one. Now, I dare you to show me your feedback that is weirder than this. I've been doing this for 21 years. This is the most bizarre feedback I have ever received in 21 years. Are you ready?
okay.
Their feedback, I outlined in blue, is they copied the title, typed in the price they paid, and that is their feedback.
Okay.
What?
What? That is
I
odd.
want you to understand their feedback is the exact title from the listing plus the price they paid.
That's weird.
And they were off by 10 cents. That's even weirder. They didn't even copy the price right. Okay? So if you're going to co-host anytime in the near future, keep an eye out for your feedback. And I dare anyone to show me something more bizarre than that.
That is awesome.
I don't even understand.
I've had like one letter, but not that. That's crazy.
Okay. Well, let me tell you about mine because I don't seem to have yours.
What?
Yeah. All right. So let me do mine. We'll bring our guest in. I'll get yours loaded up.
Okay.
I don't know. I went through the whole thing. Okay. Just a reminder. Mom's off to play for a week and a half. She's going to Disney and Universal and having a grand old time down in Florida. So no show this week or next, but we will return in 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that. And next week, boy. Oops. Good Lord. I thought, man, I went through my list too. This is going to be a good one. Kelly is going to be on. She has like 1,000 different things we can talk about. But one of the things we want to talk about is she is an e-commerce specialist for a couple of pawn shops. And she said the amount of fake stuff that comes in through the door is bewildering. We all know there's fakes out there, but when you're on the front line and seeing it, she's like, it is amazing how much fake stuff walks in this pawn shop. So she is going to kind of give us a little bit of education on that. Plus she's got about 1,000 other things that she can talk about. So I look forward to next week. That is right here, Thursday night, 8 o'clock East Coast, 5 o'clock on the West Coast. All right. I can never pull this off. Let me try tonight.
I can share my show, but not the other art.
Yeah, no, I'll get it.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to try it. Here we go.
And now it's time for the Thrifty Business Special Guest of the Week.
Wasn't even close. Good Lord. That wasn't even close. Wait, bring your little tiki guy back here. So what is that?
It's a thing you put out in your lawn. It's broken. It's
like a floor light. Gotcha.
Yeah, and it lights up different colors, and the stupid wire came out, and so it's like the only geeky thing I own, basically. But it is cute.
I love it. All right. So Kathy is here to talk about fabric. So let me get rid of that for a moment and make you big. Hey, Nay, we need to redo the guest of the week and make it half.
Okay. I will get on that.
Yeah.
But you have to remind me after the show.
Yeah, you can see the line. Yeah, so for this one, let's squish it and make it half.
Okay.
Nadene is my graphic design artist. She can be yours too if you need some artwork.
And if you had my stuff up there, I could have shown that too.
I'm gonna have your stuff. Relax.
No, I'm just messing with you.
All right, so I know exactly when I got into music. I know exactly when I got into tiki. I know it sounds weird, but when did you get into fabric?
Well, when I was little, my mom worked at the fabric store, and both she and my grandma sew, and well, she used to sew, and I'm just kind of I used to love being in the fabric store. Everything was, all different and just all these different fabrics. And it got to be something where when she made me clothes, I didn't necessarily like everything she made me, but she did make me some pretty cool things. She made me a pink jean jacket when I was like 9 or 10 years old or whatever it was. I was young. And that thing was boss. I mean, this was like the 70s. So I felt really special to have a pink jean jacket, let me tell you.
That is
So,
cool.
and then when I got older, we also would go to antique shops and thrift stores and things like that, flea markets, and there would be a person who sold fabric, and I always thought it was pretty cool to see some of the old fabric. And it's one of my places I do get stuff from too. So, but I just have been doing it most of my life. But I really got into collecting fabric when I was married and had a little change to spare.
Okay, so that begs the question. All right, so when I collect music, I listen to it. When I collect tiki mugs, I drink out of them. What does one do who collects fabric with the fabric?
Let some get dust on it.
Okay.
Actually, no.
Fair enough.
I mean, most people who collect fabric are doing it because they're sewers of some sort, you know? I mean, I'm not alone. I know there are plenty of people who have just, like I mentioned to you yesterday, Sable, their stash is at beyond life expectancy. So there's no way I'm going to get through all that I have. It's just like another addiction that you might have of collecting. You see it, it's beautiful. I mean, the textures, when you see quality fabric, you get really excited. I mean, when I see something that I know I can sell for a lot of money, I'm like, whoa, look at this, scar.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like a lot of things. The more you look into all the various avenues in it and do research and get exposed to it, the better off you are at picking out what's the good stuff and what's, the right price and what this might be able to be sold for, or that kind of a thing. So,
Yes.
So I know how many CDs I have. I know how much tiki mugs I have. How much fabric do you have?
I plead the fifth. I do not know. Let's just say, here's the deal. We have a lot of storage in our house. I'm going to say half of it's probably.
Wow.
I mean, okay, this room here used to be my daughter's room, and now it's just all my fabric for selling. Plus, we have an under the stairs closet. That's almost all fabric. Plus, there's a space out in my garage that has fabric. I think my mom might be listening, so I'm not sure I want to keep going. But anyway.
Hi, Kathy's mom.
And my friends. Anyway, but it's just like all kinds of things. The more you get, the more you want, and just to. Some of it I've had for so long that it's become kind of like a fixture, and you can walk past it and you don't even think much of it. And then you see somebody sold something just like it for quite a bit of money. And you're like, oh, wait, I better get that out there. So a lot of stuff that I'm selling now, I have been sitting on for years.
I find the fabric too. I think it's like I have a connection to it and I don't want to part with it.
That's exactly it. That's you told me to wrap myself in fabric for this particular episode, which I obligingly did. And it was not even a hard choice to do. I mean, just like George on Seinfeld wants to wrap himself in velvet, it doesn't matter. I want to wrap myself in cool fabric because it looks good, And I was going to talk about that fabric too anyway. So,
yeah,
right.
Apparently Rick's wife Sandy has a lot of fabric too, because I've been told
like I said, I'm not alone. It's just fun. There's a lot of fun to fabric. I mean, it brings back memories of your childhood sometimes. I am selling a lot of 80s things for people that just want to have that kind of thing back in their memory, from when they were a kid. There's just a lot of emotion involved when you wear something that makes you feel and look good, or you put something up on the wall or decorate in your house with fabric and it makes you feel really nice inside just because it's so powerful or soothing, right. Or the feel of the fabric sometimes. I mean, I have some fabric that's velvet that is just, oh my God, does it ever feel nice, So yeah, so it's like a touchy-feely kind of a thing, I mean, you might go like this with your tiki mug sometimes, but.
So do you go through the thrift store like I do? I go to the fabric section and I use like my sense of touch more than my vision, because you can feel when something is fine silk or when it's or
Correct.
when vintage wool, or
Right,
you can
right.
tell cashmere, and you can tell the fabric,
Yes, yes,
quality
yes.
of the fiber. So
It is. It's a cool thing to do. And when you sew, and you work with some of these fabrics, it gives you a really good sense of accomplishment when you make something that looks good.
yes.
So that's one of the things I do like about
And
fabric.
one of the things I teased in this show is you never know why we all should learn about, at least looking into the fabric section, is you never know who's going to buy it. Now, most customers are going to buy it because they're handy and they're going to make clothes or reupholster furniture. And some buy it here. Funny enough, I already had bought this when Debbie said, let's have Kathy on and talk about fabric. So I just got this badass piece of bar cloth here. I'll make me the big one for a second here.
Oh, nice. Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So I'm not making clothes, although it'd be a great toga. But there is a bar. There's a door right behind the bar in our house, and it goes into the little room that we made a library, and it's just white. And I'm like, I got to make that door blend into the tikiness. And that piece is long enough that we're gonna, fasten it to the door. I'm gonna trim it out in bamboo, and I'm gonna do a project which I'm not handy. Now that leads me to a project that I couldn't do on my own. And I've had this underneath our guest bedroom for a long, long time now. We bought, I bought this furniture on Craigslist. So
my aunt and uncle had that furniture.
So it's the 2 chairs, that end table, that couch, the coffee table, and then the end table to the right of the couch. I got all that for $100.
Oh my.
Now, it had the original cushions that were beat, but I brought it all home. And at the time, I had a Pathfinder. This barely fit in it. And so I went to a fabric store and said, I need to have cushions made. They told me the size of the cushion to go get from the foam guys. So I got them, and I said, how much fabric do I need? So whatever the amount was, they told me. I tacked on 2 yards just to be covered. And so we did all those cushions, and I've done 1 bar stool so far, and I still have a lot left. So I don't know if they sent me way too much.
Oh, you got a whole.
If my fabric guy told me the wrong numbers, because this is still a lot of fabric.
Yes, that is.
So I'm going to redo the rest of those bar stools, but that's why I picked this mug too, because it kind of goes with.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yes. I like that fabric. It's very cool. I was going to ask you what's wrong with the fabric you have on there. I didn't realize you were showing the after.
Yeah.
Like,
So these other bar stools, they were fine, but this one's so damaged, and of course I got to fix it. And I'm like, well, I might as well just make them. I'll get a thicker cushion on them, and I'll make them all the same fabric. It became the fabric of our house. So everyone at some point might want fabric, and fabric is everywhere.
Yep.
I have some fabric that can kind of lead into one of our questions here. So this is a vintage upholstery fabric. It doesn't have anything on the selvage or the edge of it, but you can look at the back and see that this is a woven fabric versus a knit. So Kathy, did you want to talk about the difference between woven versus knit fabric?
Yes, that is a brocade, and that means there is a texture to it. I'm not real technical with those things, but there's more than one type of yarn being used on those. And there's like a raised platform, and there's a lot of threading on the back of it.
It's very heavy, like blanket weight. Yes.
Right. Yes. So woven fabric is going to have warp and weft. Now I'm probably going wrong with that, but one way is this thread and the other way is this thread. Now that can change by the way it's done on the loom and stuff, but knit fabric is not going to have threads like that on the end because it is knitted
on the end,
together.
kind of like fraying on the end.
Right. That is the clear sign that is a woven fabric.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And now to confuse the heck out of you, you can have woven fabric that is bonded on the back with a knitted backing, which I have up for sale. And it is woven on this side, but it is bonded on this side with a like a polyester or some. This is a vintage fabric, and this was probably done in the 70s or 80s, maybe. And it's basically because this side isn't that great of a feel. It's kind of itchy, and you don't have to now line your jacket. This is already done for you. This was probably an upholstery weight or a suit weight. You could do either one, but it is clearly woven on this end and on this side, and then this side has like that, it's a process that they make it. It's basically plastic.
So that's also
all synthetics are a form of plastic. What? I'm sorry, did you say
back
something?
of the fabric, the bonded part is also called an interfacing, correct?
Well, not really, because an interfacing would be a separate
piece. So this is a piece this is actually the actual same piece.
It's actually bonded right on there. There is no separating the fabric.
Right.
And
so
it's not
it's per piece. That's an interfacing.
Right.
Okay.
Right. If you were to have something that is coming to you like a lining, that would be your interface.
Got it.
If you put a layer to the blue fabric, would it melt?
It's synthetics melt, yes.
Yeah. Let's try it. Let's see how that goes.
There are
Fun with fire.
There's plenty of burn tests
that
you can look up online that'll tell you what your fabric is if you take a flame to it. You have to be real careful with it, but it does work. If there is a blend, like let's say it's polyester cotton, you're going to get mixed results. But as you go along and you see certain fabrics, you can get a feel for maybe if it's got more cotton and what is more synthetic. Synthetics don't wrinkle. Wovens, natural fibers do. Cotton, linen, and silk are the worst. Okay, linen, you look at it, it wrinkles. Yeah. And the way to test for that in a store. So if you want, I could talk about things in the wild. That's what I was hoping to help people with.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When you're going into the store and you aren't like getting yourself in a fabric mood, but there you go, you see this fabric sitting there, and you're like, wow, this is some cool stuff, but I have no idea what I'm looking at. So basically, most fabric stores will have the fabric individually priced, and they'll have it on a hanger, but they won't have it folded correctly. They will have it folded cut piece to cut piece. So it'll be folded in half that way. And when you have fabric like that, let me find a small enough piece. When you have fabric that is folded, for some reason, I don't know why, but they'll have it folded where these two end pieces, can you see the the threading here? You see how there's some threads right there? You see that?
Yep.
Okay, that is cut. That is a part that's cut. They'll have it folded like this. So here you are, you're looking at this fabric and you're going, but how long is this fabric? And the way to figure that out is you're going to take. Okay, so here is.
Let me get rid of the header. Hold on a quick sec. I'm going to make you the whole screen too. Boom, there you go.
Okay, you see how this says Spring Industries Inc.? That is the salvage.
Right.
That is where they will always have their name on the fabric if there is a name. Now, this particular company, they don't make it like this so much anymore. It's more, it's all white along the side. It's an actual salvage, more like, more like this. You see how there's a white strip along the edge there? That is the salvage right there. They actually have the print on this going into the salvage, but that is actually the salvage because it's the edge of the fabric, and that's a great way to tell where the salvage is. It's white. Yep. But if it's like this, where it's basically into the fabric where they list the name, you're going to have to try to figure it out by looking for the threads. So here are the threads. You see how that's raw like that? There's, it's not finished, you know,
That's
it
not
looks
the
like it's been
thread.
cut, okay? So when you go to look at your fabric and you see the price I paid for that? $1.75.
$1.75.
Yeah, but I paid half price. So I paid 88 cents for that. I could probably list this for $12.99. And this is just 1 yard. And that's
Wow.
that is how cheap they are with fabric. It is the one place I have found where the thrift stores have not found it to be a place to gouge. They don't know what they have. So when you go into the fabric store and they have it with the raw edges folded together, you don't want that. You're going to want to fold the two salvaged ends together.
Yes.
And then you have this side is the folded side. This is how you would measure the width, okay? And then multiply it by 2. And you only do it like this because it's easier. Fabric comes in 45 inches to 60 inches. And I do have some that are 110 inches up for sale. And some of the vintage fabrics are narrower. They're a yard wide. They don't usually make that anymore though. But with this fabric I have here, so I've got it this wide, okay? This is your width. Now, the way you catch the length is you're going to go this way. You're going to take the selvages and run a ruler right down here. So if I take my tape measure, it measures a yard. You see that?
Yep.
Okay. The way you can tell out in the wild, and this is where I was going to have you take your tape measure, Jason.
All right, going back.
Take your tape measure and put your arm out all the way to the side with the tape measure. So take the tape measure and stretch it out like this. Okay. Now put the tape measure up to your nose. With your arm all the way stretched out. Your arm's not stretched out all the way. More. There you go. Now, where's the measure? What does it say? At your nose.
Damn, that's 3 feet.
Weird.
Okay.
That's 3 feet.
Yes. Okay. That is how you tell out in the wild.
That's 3 right there.
What you have. Okay. So make sure the selvages are together. You don't want the raw edges to be there because that's the length, okay? Or I mean,
with this salvage length is raw edge.
Is raw edge to raw edge, okay? So if I'm taking this, I'm a little shorter in the arm. So ladies, you may be a little bit more of a fudge factor, but if I turn my nose this way, I get to 36 inches. So I would know out in the wild, I need to turn my nose this way, and there's a yard. Now people like to buy yards at a time. So if you're just short a yard, it's okay. You can still say that you just have to be honest and say it's 35 inches and not a whole yard or whatever. That's the one thing with fabric. People, as long as you're very straightforward in what you're saying about the fabric, you'll get sales. So now let me just say another thing about fabric in terms of another way you could tell a length of something. If you look at this pattern, you can see a repeat, can you not?
Yep.
Okay. Usually a repeat, you are going to have an entire repeat in 36 inches. So let's say you're buying a fabric that has a huge amount of design in it, like it's the emblems are super huge. I should have given myself a fabric that's like that. But if you have one where, okay, let me just say that the repeats are going to be, there will be an entire repeat or an entire segment in 36 inches. I'm not explaining myself very well. But what you can see here is that the way another way that you can tell that you have the fabric in the correct way is, you see how the fish are going this way?
Yep.
Okay, you're not going to wear it, I hope, like this, right? So that way,
Well, they could
know
be
that
swimming
these are the
upstream.
sides.
Hang
Okay.
on.
And
I
you
even got a
will
rim
get
shot for that. Hold
as-
on a minute. Hang on. They could be swimming upstream. Thank you. And thank you.
If they're salmon.
Yes.
For that's another way to tell where the sides are. Because if you notice, this one doesn't have any selvage markings at all. The pattern goes from selvage to selvage. There is no border on this.
Now, is that common nowadays, or is there usually selvage?
Okay, it's always salvage, but this has the print on the selvage.
Oh, all the way. Okay, got it.
Selvage, the edge of the selvage can give you a lot of information if it's printed. It can tell you where it's made often, the company, sometimes the fabric, the fiber content.
See this? This is Wamsutta. You see that there's a white trim on the end? That's the selvage.
Yes.
That is a way to tell that that's the side of the fabric. The print obviously does not go all the way to the end of the fabric. That right there's the selvage.
All right, so we got a couple questions. The main one over and over is, what's the best way to photograph it?
So what I would do, a lot of times people will put a quarter, a nickel, a penny, whatever it might be, in on the picture so that people can get an idea of how large the print is. You want to get at least one repeat in your photograph. I like to take pictures where I've got, maybe if I'm selling a whole piece, I'll take a picture of the whole piece, not looking like this, but, and then I'll get a close-up, and then I will get as close as I can to the fibers so that they can see the weave. Also, I will, if there is any notification on the selvage, I will take a picture of that. You want to get as much information in your photos as you can, because people will be looking at your fabric more than they'll read the description of the fabric. So I tried to get some woman to realize that what she was reading was truer than what she was looking at, and she insisted that what I had was what she needed, and I wound up getting a Nairu or Nehru, whatever you call it, off of her, because she still couldn't understand that. I told her it's not silk, it looks like silk. So anyway, question, when you buy both, how do you know? Oh, okay, now that's a good thing to know as well. What I would do is, so now this particular fabric isn't on a bolt, but you can do the same for a bolt. This is 36 inches wide, or 36 inches long, the sections. And as you can see, there are, why am I not getting this right? Okay, there's 1, 2, 3. You guys can't see this maybe. I think it's my lighting. There we go. I'm just not good with cameras. Do you see how many different layers I have of this? That's what I would do. I would say, okay, so this is 36 inches, and I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, and do the multiplication. If it's on a bolt, you obviously have a lot of layers to do. And it's not that easy because bolts are very narrow. It's a crapshoot, but if there's a lot of layers, you'll have a lot of fabric. If your question is it worth the money? As long as they're asking for something that's, I don't like to buy fabric for more than $1 a yard, just because I know that I want to get as much as I can. I'm kind of a cheap person though, you know, so it stopped me from buying a lot. So, because I already have enough. But I would say that you would just have to take a guess that it was enough for your needs. If it's something where you're buying it for yourself, then obviously you're going to maybe want to unwind it. I would.
Yeah, I got to imagine, you know, I'm so trusting. Well, I don't know well enough that if they said we used all the fabric on my cushions, I would have been like, okay, but they hand me back this bowl with all this fabric still.
Right.
And I'm like, man, they could have stole that. I would have had no idea.
Right. But you know what? Now you worked with a firm that has integrity and you could recommend them to others, right?
Absolutely, without fail, because I'm clueless.
Right.
Do you ever wash it before you sell it?
Absolutely not. Except there are some exceptions. And one of the things, I don't know if Debbie is going to have this one as one of the things that is my scores, but I would only wash fabric if it was something really vintage, nicely made, and has damage to it. Or if it's something really cool and it smells a little funky.
Some vintage fabrics might have been sitting in a basement for the last 40 years. And you want to freshen them up.
But unless the fabric is really good, I try to stay away from fabric with the funky smells, because a lot of times they may have root rot, they may have bugs. It's not a good thing. A lot of people keep their fabric in the attic or in the basement, and sometimes both of those places do have circulation issues or flooding. So that is something you need to watch out for if you do go to a thrift store, that the end of the fabric, or like on a bolt or something, doesn't have any kind of damage from sitting in water or something like that. So on a flat bolt, 2-layer, about 1 yard. Okay. See, there are so many tricks that you can learn when you're out in the wild to know what you got. So when you go to a fabric store and you are just looking at fabric, you can be missing a lot of opportunity for selling something that's really good. Age a lot of times is a nice thing to get something vintage, because if it's not in style now, it might be in style later, and you're the one who's sitting on it. And I have a few fabrics like that I just sold one, and I'm like, I tried listing this a few years ago and I couldn't get jack squat for it. Now I sold a half a yard for it already.
Cyclical, so
Yes. But what I was going to say is I also check the linen department for fabric that might have been raw, but was minimally processed. And one great example, and I'm going to grab it real quick. I was in a Salvation Army family thrift store, and I was looking in the linen section, and I saw these curtains, and I thought, wow, those are beautiful curtains. And I went to go buy them, and the woman wouldn't stop commenting on how beautiful they were. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm buying them, lady. So
back off, Target lady.
Yes. So this is the fabric. Let's see if you can see it. My light might be making it. Let me change this. That makes it a little better. The color on this isn't that great, but if you can see the salvage on this, it's upside down, but it says Grisanti. This is Italian fabric. This is Italian cotton broadcloth.
Fabric, yes.
And it's going to be, I paid maybe $3.50 for 4 1-yard. I don't know how wide it is, but when I go to sell it, I'm probably going to try and get $20 a piece for those things.
Oh,
yeah. And it's a cotton. One of the things that's really popular right now also is people are wanting to sew things that are part of I don't want to say a fantasy world, but people feel very free to express themselves these days, and they want to do it by dressing up. So there's the cosplay, and there's going to conventions and things like that, or even weddings are done thematically a lot of times. I mean, I belong to a sewing Reddit subreddit, and they talk about how they want to make themselves this beautiful dress that they see on TV. And they'll ask, I need this exact fabric. So a lot of times I'll be going on there and say, you don't have to have the exact fabric. You need the vibe. You can get it by looking for this type of fabric. But there are a lot more people out there these days that want to create on their own and want to have an outlet. And there's a lot more people, it seems, sewing these days than I think previously.
I think
a lot of young people.
Especially with the pandemic happening, just in the past
Big
year,
time.
people have taken up sewing
Yes.
because of the fact that they've been
Right.
home and they've had more time, and
they found they like it.
so
And that's another reason why I think there's a lot of people out there making some elaborate type outfits.
Yeah.
So I would also say, if you're looking at luxury fabrics, even if it's only a yard, because sometimes the bodice isn't going to match the skirt, maybe doesn't match the sleeves, it might just be a collar. There's all kinds of different ways to make an outfit.
Who will take a small amount of fabric and pay up for it because they only need a small amount because they're quilting.
Right. And they don't want to have to go searching all over the thrift stores for it. And there it is sitting in front of them on that too, on that screen where they can just, all right, $50.
Now,
Yeah,
if you've never looked for fabric before, most thrift stores will have a section of it in the linens. If you're one of those people who skips the linens, you're missing out on a lot of great sheets, a lot of great blankets, and then flags are typically hanging in the linen section. But in that section, especially like at Savers,
Find me. Yes.
they'll have that whole fabric section. Sometimes it'll be a small piece like a yard, and sometimes it'll be, where'd my other piece go? Oh, sometimes it'll be a lot like this.
Yeah.
Right. You can get yardage at the thrift store. And the last time I was at the thrift store, that's basically what I was picking off the racks was 3 and 4 yards of things. I'm like, gee whiz. I have my favorite thrifts. I live in an area where there's a lot of crafting going on. I'm in the Midwest. So lots and lots and lots of crafters out here, and a lot of old people dying, unfortunately, from COVID, and all their fabric is going to the thrift stores because nobody knows what to do with it. Then there's also the estate sales. I don't know if you ever go to estate sales, but I go to estatesales.net and I just type in fabric or sewing or material, because sometimes they don't even call it fabric, they call it material. If they call it material, you're going to get it for cheap because they don't even realize they need to call it fabric. My mom's material. So,
do you ever have issues with making the colors look right?
Yes. One thing, and this new ring light I got seems to be a nice thing for color because it's taken this color kind of nice. Yes. I just bought this. I'm just using it today. I would say that you need to not have direct sunlight on the stuff, but you want it to be in a bright room. But you need to have some offsetting of the direct sun. It's not easy. I'm going to tell you that right now. Getting colors to match exactly is not the easiest. So what I will do is describe the color. Yeah. I will say it's an olive green or a mint green or a Kelly green so that they can see in their mind, well, I'm not really seeing that exact on my screen, but if she's saying that's what it is, because especially if you're specific with the color, that they'll get a better idea in their head of what it is.
Another thing is to take all your pictures in the same consistent lighting so that, you don't have something that looks green in one picture and blue in another. And I'm also a graphic designer, so I will color correct in Photoshop. That's easier for me than other people. So,
ooh, you're fancy.
Well, that's something I would love to try to learn because that's the biggest problem I have.
I can help you out with that if you want to PM me. But
yeah, we could talk.
Yeah, definitely. But always make sure that your pictures are inconsistent.
Yes.
Lights. Yeah. Otherwise, you'll have to say, is it blue or is it green? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now somebody's saying something about selling fabric and selling it with the tube. I have never, ever done that. And I have sold, I mean, most of my fabric I don't get on the tube. I don't even think I would let them know that it's on a tube. Then they don't even have to ask for the tube. It is expensive to send it that way. It is outrageously pricey to send fabric in the tube. So my suggestion, if you're worried about it, is just to roll it and then give it some light folds and send it in a box if you're worried. It's much better not to have the tube when you're shipping, only because of costs. I don't find it necessary, and I have sold some pretty fancy stuff. People realize you're not going to be necessarily having the manufacturer's tube. I wouldn't even tell them you have the tube.
Yeah, because that adds a lot of shipping weight.
And I do belong to a Facebook group that's called Fabric Destash or something like that. There are definitely plenty of places to go on for fabric. There's places on Reddit. I have a YouTube group that I belong to called So It's For Sale. I do go on there to look for things, because that's a lot of people that maybe they're older people and they're just wanting to get rid of the things they didn't use, and they only want $3 for their 1 yard of fabric, and I can sell it for 20. So that's another place to go. Like I said, with the thrift stores, and then the rummage sales, and then another good place is church rummage sales, because there you go, they're getting the stuff for very cheap, and they may have just whatever, and they don't always sell it for very pricey because they're doing it as a charity kind of a thing, just like anything else you'd find at a church rummage sale. You can definitely find fabric and linens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when you get a lot of fabric, I'm assuming you're skilled enough to say, okay, I've got 20 yards, and then you sell it not necessarily by the 20 yards. You let people say, I need 6, right?
Right. Okay. So here's what I have found is a good formula. If you have yardage and you don't, okay, here's something I want to mention. People may not realize this. This is one of my places that I do like to go to. Well, they don't have it on here. This is a Vogue Fabrics tag. They're extremely good about what they put on their fabric when they sell it. And as you can see, it says sample dress length. And the length there is 2 1/4 yards. So what that means is that I need a sample dress length. It's 2 1/4 yards. So that's a good way to remember. That's about enough to make a dress with. And that would be something that if you saw that out in the wild and it's over 2 yards, that's enough money or enough fabric to make a dress with. Another thing you can do to look at how much you need is patterns. You look at the back of the pattern and it'll tell you how many yards you need. So I have found if I sell by the half yard, I can put it for cheap enough so that I come up on the listings if somebody's looking from cheap to expensive. So I may.
Well, if you sold by the inch, then you would definitely be on top.
Well, I'd call
47 cents.
I'd be like, what the heck is up with him?
You're seeing fabric sold that way, yes.
Yeah, and usually you can go to the fabric store and buy 3 5/8 of a yard. I'm going to tell you that right now. They sell it by the 1/8. But that's at the fabric store, not here. So I will go as low as a half a yard. There are people who will sell fat quarters. Now, that is...
If there's a whole thing that you can dive into there, yeah.
Yeah, the fat quarter is another segment. That's for the quilting segment.
And a fat quarter is 18 by 22 inches.
It's right. But a quarter of a yard is usually the whole width of the fabric times 1/4, 9 inches. Right. But a fat quarter is 1/4 of a yard in a square.
Right.
So you're not getting selvage to selvage. You're getting selvage to the middle of the fabric. And then you're getting...
How often do people need that?
They do
Quilts
that with quilting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
It's not, other than that, it's not really a normal thing then.
right. And one of the things that eBay has on their listings for describing it is square size, and that drives me nuts because that's really only for quilting.
Get into like the jelly rolls and the crazy, and nobody knows what that is except for
It's those are all a great way to make profit on raw fabric. Cut it up and sell it for twice the price. But okay, when they're asking for square size, they're asking how big is the repeat.
Yes.
So the repeats can be anywhere from, if you've got a ditzy print, the repeat is not a repeat at all. It's just all over the place. But a repeat would be a design of the fabric that gets repeated as you go down. So I've got 4 repeats of this one. 1, 2, 3 repeats of this, because you see that green striped fish 3 times on this particular fabric. That's 3 repeats of the pattern. And you can see that it keeps repeating itself. It's not all different fish. You see that same fish go down the line. And that's another way to know how much yardage you got. If you can see how big the repeat is and how many repeats you have. That's another way to figure that out. Any way that you can come up with some kind of figuring of how much you're getting when you're out in the wild to know if it's worth it is helpful. But like I said, fabric is so cheap when you're out in thrift stores, at least where I'm at. And they do a lot of half price sales now. And I go on half price days and I get a lot of, what are you going to do with all that fabric?
To use an elegant term, like a pig in shit.
Yes. Okay. When you guys get to my duds and scores, you'll see.
Yeah, we're just about to get to them.
How good you can do with fabric.
Can I ask Kathy a couple quick
Yeah.
questions? So have you ever found, my ultimate bolo is, so if you know Key West handprint or Susie Zuzak is Lily Pulitzer, basically. Have you ever found those? Because I am dying to find some Key West handprint or Susie Zuzak fabric, and I have never come across it in thrift stores. So
no, you know what? I'm not really somebody who looks for a designer. I'm looking for quality in a fabric.
I do.
Yeah. Something like that. If I run into it, great, yay! But I'm not sure.
Holy Grail, though. So I'm always wondering.
Neither one of those. Neither one of those sound familiar.
I sold some vested Gentris fabric for $150. It was like 2 yards of fabric, and I found out that I actually did underprice it. It was a couple years ago. So there are some holy grails out there.
Right, but you know what? You still got $150 out of that.
$2 for it. So still.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yes. Even though you may have gotten more for it, you still made a lot of money.
Exactly. And I'm wondering, what was your best fabric score ever?
Well, that has to be something that it's not on with the scores that we're doing today, but last year I had some Laura Lee design fabric. Now, if you're not familiar with who Laura Lee is, they have a lot of fabrics with people in cartoonish professions. It's cartoon people in various professions, or they do Red Hat Society, or they'll do cats. But it's very unique fabric. It's LORALIE Designs. They're still in business, but I bought some fabric maybe 10 years ago. I think this stuff might even be longer than that. Maybe it's from 2005. So it's out of print, and I listed it at auction when I saw it was going for good money. And one person bought all 3 of my fabrics for $653, and it was only 3 yards total.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
She wanted all 3, so she outbid everybody.
Wow.
And the most expensive one was $400. she paid for a yard of fabric. And,
Wow.
and then the other thing was just a panel. I had a panel of like 4 cats, I think it was, or 5 cats. I don't remember all of it. I tried to look for it for Debbie, but we just figured I'll just leave that one out and I'll talk about it. But that particular one was definitely, and it was fabric that I bought new.
Wow.
From like I bought from fabric.com a lot back in the day, and I just held on to it for long enough, and people were looking for it like crazy last year. So almost $700 I made
Nice.
on 3 yards of fabric that I probably paid $10 for at the most.
That's awesome. All right. So before we get to your scores and duds, you want to surprise me with something?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh. No.
You're the one who set it up.
No, okay.
And then I surprised her.
I thought you said Debbie. Anyway, no, I was just going to tell a joke. How do you know if a fabric is biased?
You know, if a fabric is biased, how do you know?
When it's cut on a 45-degree angle.
I didn't know the surprise was going to be dad jokes.
It was a bit joke.
Hang on. Oh, hang on. Shoot.
Well,
I didn't know it was going to be a joke. Hold on. Much better.
Talking about bias is actually an interesting thing. Fabric that is cut at a 45-degree angle gives you more stretch and better lay. Okay, and
we can all use a better lay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just kidding, honey.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I'm trying to be innocent here, but you can find fabric that is cut on the bias. Like you might find a plaid that's cut on the bias, so that when you cut it, it's actually straight, but it has better lay to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just one of those goofy sewing put up chunk jokes that I was trying to squeeze in there.
I love it.
At an awkward moment.
Well, we're up to your scores and duds, and I knew there was something.
I love geeking out about fabric, so I'm enjoying it.
Yes. Okay.
All right, so before we get to your scores and duds, now that I have Nadine stuff all loaded up.
Yes. So you can find me everywhere. I'm mostly Thrifty Nay on Mercari Depop, Instagram, and Poshmark. However, I am Colbray Asterisk Dazzle on eBay. And my friend, my co-host, and one of my best friends in the world, Lola, is in the chat right now. And we do a YouTube show every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern called Nalo's Thrift Talk, and you can find us on YouTube. And tomorrow we're going to be talking with Rick and Craig of Two Dogs Digs, and they're going to be celebrating Pride Month with us, and that's 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So join us in the chat tomorrow.
Well, I'll see y'all in the chat tomorrow. All right. Let's talk about your scores.
Okay.
Oh, your duds first. Yeah.
This is a dud. Now you see that it says $45.99.
Yes.
I had held on to this fabric for quite some time. It was one of those where it was kind of part of the woodwork, and I realized that I could probably get some very good money for it. So as any other thing I list, I will offer deals, because I find that I do much of my selling on or best offer. I get quite a bit sold that way, including fabric. I usually price my stuff at really a decent price, so I am willing to take a deal on it. Well, late at night, I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes, and I'll be looking at my phone, and I'll see if I want to make a deal with somebody. So I accidentally hit the 1 instead of the 3, and I offered it up for $18.99 instead of $38.99. And in the middle of the night, somebody in California, boom, grabbed it right away and gave me a really nice, oh, this is such great fabric. I'm so glad you offered it up. And I'm like, oh, God. I mean, this stuff is extremely expensive fabric. You find this out there grab it right away. It's a brocade. And okay, this is a dud basically because I've had this listed forever and the wings on this are pretty big. I mean, this is a whole panel. It might even be larger than a yard. I'm not real sure. Panels usually are about a yard big, but I put on their cosplay wings thinking that maybe somebody could use that. Yeah, well, I mean, you never know. Somebody might do some wings, but I think they would make their own instead of using these goofy cutout things. But I just think I thought this would sell pretty easily because most of the time Cranston sells very well and Duck's fabric sells pretty well. But I guess not a lot of people are wanting to make Ducks.
So wait a minute. Elisa, who was my co-host last week, lives on Mallard Circle. I live on Mallard Landing. This is crazy.
So buy my fabric, will you?
Yeah, I say. This is so weird. All right, let's hit your 4 scores, and we are out.
Okay, well, this one's the last dud.
Oh, last dud. Okay.
Yes, this is the last dud. The reason why I call this a dud, I thought I could get some good money from this. This is really old fabric. It's cool, look, Brady Bunch looking to me. I mean, 1970. It's a good manufacturer, but I've had it up for a long time. And somebody actually wanted me to sell them a half a yard for $4.
Oh my.
I'm like, I don't mind making a deal if you want to buy like 4 yards at $4.
Yeah.
I'll do that. But you want 1 yard. And she wound up dickering with me until I gave it to her for $6. So I still have 7 available. Okay, so now this
if
is
you
one
want
of my
it,
scores.
come get it.
Yeah. This is one of my scores. It was one of 2, and this was the one where I sold to the guy who lives out in, I believe it's New York somewhere, and he's in a really cool looking house, and he's an artist, and I don't know what he did with it, that guy. And see the jackets he makes, that right there is Grandma Moses fabric.
Nice.
Yeah. She makes scenery fabric, and it's usually a bark cloth type fabric.
Look, it's Amish Uber. That's from Michelle.
Grandma Moses fabric. That's another one to look for. If you do see her stuff, it's very good. So anyways, he bought this and another one from me. And this is other fabric that I had sitting around for a long time. And I figured, you know what? It's a great time of year to sell nautical fabric. And I made a decent profit on this one.
That's cool fabric.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
excites me. This one doesn't.
This is like that cottage core. Okay.
Yeah.
This has an extremely nice weave to it. It is extremely vintage. And I had an extreme amount. I had put it up for $6.99 per yard. No, by the half yard. And I had 10 available? I don't remember. Somebody bought the entire amount for $200.
Nice.
And I got at an estate sale where she had all kinds of yardage. Everything was yardage. I couldn't believe it. I was freaking out. I was like going like this, trying to make sure nobody can get around me because I kept grabbing it, and I'm like, holy crap, I can't even get at it fast enough. But this stuff, I paid $80 for like 2 huge bags of fabric.
Nice.
And I sold this one piece for $200.
Nice. Yeah.
Ooh, this is fun.
Yeah, this is if you go into some of the other pictures, you will be able to see that it is there you go. It's a honeycomb piqué. So those are very popular fabrics. They're usually pretty well made. This one, there's a designer name. Yeah, Ameritex, Eames era. This is definitely an older fabric. Another one that and as you can see, that is the edge right there. You can see I showed what the selvage is, and there's Ameritex. You can barely even see it. It's in on the pattern. So it's basically you're getting fabric all the way to the salvagers on this. It's basically how it is. And designers really did not make big. I mean, you see how small that was. That's another indication that that is a vintage fabric, is the small acknowledgement of the manufacturer. So that one I got, I don't even know how much I paid. I do not pay a lot for my fabric, just because I know that if I want to sell it, I will get money for it. Okay, so this was from that same estate sale, and
Hand embroidered. Nice.
yeah, these are all different squares. And what do I have, 16 of these? Yes. I think I had 22 of them. And so I kept some away, and I just put up enough that I thought would make a good quilt cover. And I sold this for, I think, $39.99. So $40 for 16 of them. And I paid probably $2 for all of it.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, the rate of exchange, the amount of profit that you can make on fabric is absolutely ridiculous if you have the right stuff. Now, this is one of my favorites. This is also a French fabric. This is almost all I had. I kept a little for myself. But this this is a silk brocade. This is like the nice stuff. When you feel it, it makes a noise. That's another thing about fabric. If you have something like a taffeta. In fact, let me get my taffeta that I wanted to. Can you hear this?
Oh, yeah.
That's 80s. That's the sound of the 80s.
This is another Seinfeld reference when he was going for his interview and his suit swished. But that's some of the things that I like, you know. I think it's cool. And, you know, certain cottons can also do that. If it's like a, what do they call it? It's a polished cotton. And it's very, very beautiful stuff. I mean, you wear clothes every day made of fabric, right?
Yep. All right. So what I would do is when we're done here in a couple seconds, tonight, tomorrow, this weekend, go over to Kathy's eBay page just so you can see it. And if you need fabric, obviously buy some. But it is Cat Joy 63, Cat with a K. And check it out. I mean, it's the best way. When people say CDs don't sell, I'm like, here's my ID. Just look at my solds. You'll see all the CDs that sell. You'll see all the fabric that sells. It's another easy way to get a good education. Excuse me, from someone who is an expert in their field. Plus, you can see the joy that you have the way you talk about. Oh, wait, this one, you know, that's the way I am with tiki mugs. Oh, this one's got fabric, but I left the one at home that's got the fur. You know, so I fully understand. So, as Kathy said, fabrics are very fabric remnants are very cheap when you get them in the thrift stores. So try them out. Go find something that piques your interest, that has a look or a look of something fun, like the fishes behind her, or the feel of quality. You can tell the difference between thin, crappy material and a nice, thick, heavy weave. You don't need to know anything about fabric to feel the difference. It's like with purses. As you're touching purses, you can feel, this is the crap you buy in the corner of the street in New York City. This is a nice French import, Italian import. You know, you can tell the difference right away with a touch of your fingers.
Absolutely. And read the seller's edge if it's there. That tells you so much information. Yep.
So Kathy, thank you very much. We'll definitely have you back because
thank you.
I feel we just scratched the surface with you and how much the effervescence that's coming out of you about talking about it.
I love fabric and I love nerding out with you about fabric. So it was so much fun.
This was my list. I think we got through a quarter of it.
I know. And I'm like, oh man, it's already been an hour and a half. So look, give Kathy and Nay a big old thumbs up. Brian has been good at asking for a thumbs up. We had a nice big audience tonight, so thank you very much. I think we had a few new people tonight, so if you're new, subscribe, click that bell. That bell lets you know we're going live. Usually we're here every Thursday night and every Sunday. Next 2 Sundays, Mom's on vacation, but we'll be here next Thursday talking about fakes, how to spot a fake. Because like with anything, you don't want to get caught selling fakes. So if you know what to look for, then you will be okay.
Good topic. And catch Nalo's Thrift Talk tomorrow at 2 p.m. Yes. With Greg and Rick.
Yep. So I'll see you guys in Nay and Lowe's chat tomorrow. And with that, I thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. And
Thank you.
when you're in the thrift store, go find your fabric section if you've never seen it before.
Do it.